Trump's former Christian spiritual advisor is said to have engaged in less than Christian behavior with a child. His alleged victim was 12 years old at the time. Robert Morris, the founder of a Texas megachurch, was indicted on 5 criminal counts of alleged sexual misconduct with a minor, which are said to have occurred back in 1982. The crimes were allegedly committed in Oklahoma, where a multi-county grand jury just issued an indictment. At the time, Morris was a traveling evangelist staying with the family of the alleged victim, and at the time it started, the victim was 12, while Morris was 21 years old, and the misconduct persisted for about 4 years. So how is this guy affiliated with Donald Trump? Well, during Trump's first term in office, Morris was a member of Trump's Spiritual Advisory Committee and the Evangelical Executive Advisory Board. He was also active in the effort to help Trump win evangelical support for the 2024 election.
One of the ways Donald Trump won the 2016 election was through the complete embrace of him by evangelicals, both the base and pastors and leaders in that movement. One of the most prominent is a pastor named Robert Morris. He founded a Texas megachurch in Southlake, Texas. Morris was also a spiritual advisor to Trump while he was in the White House. Here he is in the Rose Garden in 2020, just a few rows behind where then Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett's family and the First Lady are about to sit. And here is Trump visiting Morris's church earlier that summer, giving his personal assessment of the man.
So I want to thank Pastors Robert Morris and Steve Dullen. They're great people. Great people with a great reputation, I have to say that. Great reputation. And Gateway Church, the team has been incredible in hosting us. And I'd now like to ask Pastor Morris and Bishop Jackson to lead us in prayer.
Pastor Doolin has also resigned from the church following an internal investigation of abuse and the church's handling of it. Since Morris's resignation last year, the Trump campaign has denied that Morris had any real role in the campaign. As for the indictments, which have happened now 43 years after the inciting incident, a leaked phone transcript from 2005 showed Morris confessing to committing sexual assault while then asking the victim to, quote, put a price on it. Additionally, Gateway Church is alleged to have committed financial fraud, with reports showing that only $3 million of the $100 million that the church received in annual revenue went toward global ministries. And last year, 4 elders were removed from the church when an internal investigation found that they either knew of Morris's abuse or failed to act once they had been informed of it. I think I said in a previous video that Trump aligned himself with the Christian faith and the Christian people because if he just said he was a Christian, other Christians would just assume that he was a good person because they, as Christians, like to think of themselves as good people. By aligning himself with people like Morris, who were known in their communities and nationally to be of strong Christian faith and character, then Trump himself could essentially piggyback off of their Christianity. Also, if Trump called himself a Christian but was actually a bad person, his Christian supporters would have to reconcile with some very uncomfortable truths, and just speaking frankly and generally here, Christians don't seem to like to do that. They can't even deal with dinosaurs. But Trump is a Christian, never mind a good or a bad Christian. If you're a Christian, you're presumed to be good because Christians are by default good. If you're a bad Christian, then you're not really a Christian, are you? The logic is both horribly flawed and unimaginably forgiving. That's why Trump doesn't have to do or say anything that demonstrates he's following the example of Christ. He's just assumed to be Christ-loving in his heart and soul, even if his outward presentation doesn't support that assumption in any way. And since he's assumed to be Christ-loving, the things he does and says are assumed to be part of some bigger heavenly plan that he surely must be executing. They have to believe that Trump is doing God's will, or else, again, their whole belief structure and the ways in which they've integrated Donald Trump, of all people, into that existing belief structure would crumble. The man can't even name a single book in the Bible. I'm not now, nor have I ever been a Christian, but I can promise you that I've read and studied more of the Bible than Donald Trump ever has. He is not a real Christian, and even if he is one in name, there is nothing Christ-like about him or his political platform. Christians should be embarrassed and offended that Donald Trump has co-opted and corrupted their faith rather than be celebratory about it. To be fair, some of them are embarrassed and offended, but others are out here preaching that empathy is weakness, so, we've lost the Christian plot completely. It's not that spirituality corrupts or that anyone who aligns with certain beliefs are not good people. I don't think that's the correlation or the conclusion that should be drawn from stories like this one. It's the same as it always is. Power and proximity to power corrupts, or it can corrupt. Even King Solomon built his own palace bigger and better than he built God's temple. But this is something we need to keep in mind when we're thinking about politics and our chosen elected leaders. We are not here to make excuses for people. Whatever the reason as to why Robert Morris allegedly did what he did, it doesn't matter as much. Accountability matters though, and it really is the only thing that we have to keep our society from crumbling at this point. Let's be honest, we're not really great at accountability right now because a lot of the societal and governmental checks and balances that we could once rely on have been infiltrated and corrupted and weakened by bad actors who sought to insulate themselves from the consequences of their own actions. But as we head into the midterms, we need to keep an eye out for aspiring leaders and the people they associate with. We need to question their motives and we need to assess whether or not they're seeking these positions of power and influence for the right reasons. And then we need to assess whether or not they'll be able to withstand any political pressure to hold their ground and remain true to the values they started off with. I always remember back when AOC first got elected into Congress, she actually said out loud that as soon as she was in DC, lobbyists were banging down her doors, offering her deals in exchange for legislative support. No one else at the time had just come out and said how bad that type of pressure is in Washington. It takes a very strong individual to carry the weight of a leadership role on his or her shoulders in a way that is just and good. I've always said that I'm skeptical of people who seek that kind of power, but our political system is such that we need people who are a little crazy. Best case scenario, think chaotic good to fight these political battles on our behalf. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.